The opening of your bio on your website, basilbreen.com, reads singer-songwriter from Dublin, Ireland, emerging onto the Irish music scene with potent songs of love, heartbreak, and optimism. I think it takes a life well lived to be the curator of potent songs of love, heartbreak, and optimism. So take me right back to the beginning. What was Basil like growing up?
Well, Basil didn't even really exist in a sense. So I've gone through, let's say, different variations of who I am. So everyone knows me as TK back home, actually. And he was just a little messer. And he just drank. And he stopped singing because he thought it wasn't cool maybe when he was about 11. So he used to sing a bit in the choir. Before that, my dad, I'd just be exposed to music through my dad. But then my musical journey kind of stopped. And then when I got to probably 24, that's when I first had my real, first heartbreak that absolutely destroyed me. I don't know what it was at that first one, but I went psychotic. That's the only, for about, I'd say at least a year of mental illness. That's how I describe it. It really messed with me. And so during that time, I basically had gotten a guitar from a friend's sister, and I just started strumming away on really sad songs like Lana Del Rey, Blue Jay, I will love you till the end of time, and Linger, and all these beautifully sad songs, right? And it was the first time that I understood sad music. I was like, oh, they know what I'm going through. This is what it's about. Before that, I never, the weight of heartbreak, the actual gravity of heartbreak, I had no idea about that. And now these songs were speaking to me in a way, and it was so beautiful. And then that kind of I just wanted to play them and sing them so badly because it was so beautiful. Because it's beautiful. Sad is beautiful. Beauty is things can be so fucking beautifully sad. It's hard to. That's the only way I can describe it. And then Basil kind of came about, I guess, because it's my middle name, and I basically how the name came about as my artist name because I was just going to be TK or Dunica or I don't know. Dunica's hard to spell. TK sounds like a new age rapper kind of guy, but my driver's license had my middle name on it. And long story short, I passed my driver's test. The lad snapped at me after because I nearly failed. But then after he goes, Basil's a great name. And then when I told that story to someone, they said, you should use that as your artist name. Okay. So that's a kind of roundabout way of getting to Basil. But he was my granddad, and he was a great man, great Irish man. Yeah. And yeah, so hopefully I'm doing him proud now. I am.
Proud. We'll do this for Donegal.
Yeah. But it's cool now because all my uncles who are very sort of old school Irish L lads, they're seeing me now like the flame for Basil, and they like the music. You're doing the music now, They get buying my CDs and they're listening to my stuff, and even my TikToks. One of my uncles, he's 70 something. He's tuned into my live stream, and I'm just Frank Costa. I'm this is what's he doing on TikTok? It's mad, but it's so beautiful when you start pursuing down certain paths, like the ripples, you're not even going to be aware of where you're going to end up or what impact you're going to have, or just the funny sort of nuances of your life after you sort of have delved into something. You know what I mean?
Cool. Okay. So Donica is your actual name.
Donica's my real name. I'm trying to avoid it for tax purposes. I don't know. Hopefully no one's looking for me. I would know. Kind of knows Donica. Donica Breen. And Donica Basil Breen.
Okay, cool. And Basil's a strong name, and it's a nice little homage to your grandfather as well.
Yes.
And Basil Breen just really rings off the fucking tongue too.
It does,
and
then it felt like a character, as in I could lean into this. Because I had to become a musician, let's say, and when I first started going into music shops and talking about guitars and everything, I felt like an absolute imposter. Oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. When I had to buy my first busking amp or whatever. It took me a while to actually own being a musician. And yes, I actually am a musician. And I think that name and Basil Breen, I could just become Basil Breen. And who is this? He could be anything. And then my style, everything, my hair, kind of emanated from that, the Basil Breen phase of my life, let's say. That's still kind of ongoing now, I guess. But there's a lot of power in that, the stage name, I think. Because my brother, he's Paddy Jobsman, and he was able to sort of be Paddy Jobsman, and he didn't have to be Sean Breen, let's say. He could just be, what's Paddy Jobsman doing? What does Basil Breen do? You know what I mean? Subconsciously, it's not a conscious thought, but in hindsight, you can look back and say, oh, maybe that was a vehicle to like, I didn't have to be anything I was before. Because we all just feel, maybe we're like, I know I'm going off one already, but we're tied to history so badly, like we can't really get rid of it. It's like shaking behind us like little cans, and we're just like, by saying Basil Breen, I was just able to cut them off. You know what I mean? Like Newman, go to that new town, 2 stagecoaches away, and just be a new man. You know what I mean?
You're dead right about being able to step into that character, and I think it can protect us a little bit, and it can, because it is a new character, we don't have the same anxieties that we have. We don't have the same pressures that we normally feel on a day-to-day basis. It's Basil Breen, the musician. It's that's what I'm here for. I'm the musician, I'm the podcaster, and again, like I said, it just rolls off the tongue so nicely. And the 2 B's as well, like logo-wise, it's beautiful. And the fact that it's also inherited through your grandfather as well means that it still comes authentically from yourself.
Yes. People with artistry or musicianship or music, people like the authenticity of it. They don't want to just think that I manufactured the name off the shelf. The fact that it's actually my middle name, I have to mention that because I want people to know that that's the case for that reason at a subconscious level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Basil Breen story so far.
Basil Breen story so far.
Yeah.
Long may it rain. So then you mentioned there that you sang in choirs, your father was an influence on your music, and then later on in life, exploring the sad songs to what I imagine in a sense was a way of helping you cope with what you're experiencing at the time. But can you pinpoint exactly what sparked your passion for music?
I guess as a child, I seen the world through a musical lens. I made up little songs for my friends or little poems, or I'd always be, I'd see the world through music and lyrics and stuff that I've heard. So I think I just had an intuition because my dad basically just played music. Like he'd play Black Sabbath and I'd sleep to Black Sabbath, he'd say. He just always had music playing, and that obviously rubbed off on me. And because music is basically like a language, like a grammar. So we might take for granted that the music we listen to is the only way music can be. But let's say in other cultures, like the musical scale can be different, and we'd feel that it's very painful to listen to. But it's only because we've learned a particular grammar, and that music, we expect it to act in a certain way. So if by exposing ourselves to music, just by being in the developed world and growing up, we've learned the grammar, whether we wanted to or not, the same way we learned English. And so my musical intuitions obviously evolved from just being exposed to music. But it's very hard to, your influences are unknown to you, really. Like you can point to stuff and you can think that that was your influence, but really you're influenced by your entire history and the entire history of culture up until the point that is now. Yeah. And we can try and rationalize that, and I could list off maybe influences, but really my influences are not known to me in a way. I can point to things that I like and dislike, but that mightn't even be why I do things in a particular way. It's hard to ever get to.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the question was, but hopefully that gives you have a few spiels in me. Get those clips going.
Oh, it's an interesting perspective on it, because the question being what sparked your passion for music, but it seems like, and kind of rightly so, it is deeply ingrained in our culture, and for yourself it was ingrained in your upbringing, where to go to sleep to Black Sabbath, that was, you don't remember that.
Yes.
It was just always playing around you. So musicality, like you said, was just always kind of in and around you.
But even the idea of rhythm, particular songs, particular rhythms, particular song structures, even if people don't have the language for it, we know it. We could tell when something's off key, let's say, or it's not on the right pitch, or someone's singing off pitch. And we don't have to be musical savants in order to feel that in a way. So music it's so I heard this really good quote about music. It wasn't a quote, but it's more like an idea. Like the first sort of rhythm we have is the heartbeat, like as we're in the womb. And so the rhythm of your mother's heart in the ups and downs of her, let's say, experience as you're in there, that's rhythm. And that's actually tied to something physical. So the fact that our heart beats actually probably gives rise to a lot of our musical intuitions, because the beat is the most fundamental, the speed of the song. If we're not all playing on the same speed, then we can't come together to play a song. So the beat is like the most fundamental. And then sound, it's so tied into, like, I'm singing now. You could play what I'm saying on a piano. It's so inherent to who we are. Like, if you, they did studies where they were able to say, like, analyze people's speech patterns and the ups and downs, and it basically lands on like a Western musical scale, let's just say. And so when people say they can't sing, it's like we're singing all the time, actually. We're singing a pitch. Like, the cars outside are playing a pitch right now. So music's just fundamental to us, and repetition, I think, is such a big part of why we find music enjoyable. And the only way I can rationalize repetition is like a memory system. So imagine if I say this, then you say that, I'm gonna hit you with a baseball bat, right? So if I say da and ba, it's like a memory, called mimetic or something. But it's a way of, like, we come up with these memory strategies, but it's an inherent memory strategy. If something sounds similar, it kind of connects connective tissue throughout whatever that thing is, that collection of words, and so it's easier to remember than a big just essay. So you can encapsulate information in that. So I think a lot of it ties into actually our experience of being a person and a human. It's actually so inherent to everything we do, and it's a consequence of that in a weird way. It's so it's insane. It's mental.
No, that really is fascinating, and it's an interesting kind of side note as well in terms of remembering stuff through musicality. Particularly, I think with Ireland's history too, because our history was always oral. So when it comes to relaying stories of the greats that happened before us, typically they're done through music. So I'm sure that goes across the board for cultures as well, but it is so deeply ingrained with us. It is.
Yeah.
It goes back since fucking forever. Do you know? Oh, it's yeah, a beautiful, beautiful topic to bring up too. Then, as artists, when we're asked to write a bio or talk about ourselves, we often say we emerge. It's this beautiful moment when we've decided to announce to the world, here I am, look at what I can do. What did the lead up to that moment look like for you?
That's very interesting, actually. Emerge. Like, emerge. I guess what it looked like was when I was living in London. When I moved to London, I moved with my guitar. And so in the beginning, I had a very weird shame around singing that I knew I had to overcome if I wanted to, be a performer and pursue, because I enjoyed writing music. I enjoyed singing on my own. And I'm kind of like, my nature is to show. Like, I'm trying to be funny in groups and dynamics, and like it's part of who I am, basically. And the music, by pursuing music, it's like a consequence of that, is that I want to be able to show the music and let's have a good time and enjoy that aspect of it. But I never could sing in front of people, and so I used to sit on park benches on my own when I was in London, even though no one could know me, and I'd sit there and I'd strum and sing, and when people walked by, I'd stop singing because I was so scared. But eventually I did that enough, and then I just started trying to busk in London on my own. Like, I'm living in London on my own. I had no friends, I had no one around me, and I set these little goals of, like, I'm going to go there and busk. And then I busked for the first time, and that was so cool. And then I got money for the first time, like, just whatever, just people being nice. Like, I wasn't like whatever. And then I did an open mic in Cardiff for the first time, and I remember I was in the bathroom before that, and I was just like, knees weak, spaghetti. It was splashing water on my face because I was so scared. And then I did that, and I just go, oh, I know what I need to do now. I need to just do this more, but I need to take this into my own hands. So that's when I realized I need to go busking. Then I started busking in Cardiff, And I've had lots of mad experiences through that really like broke through a certain wall of shame of not just singing but in my person. Now I live life with very little shame, I think, as in obviously I can still get embarrassed, but like I don't really have as much or any. I don't operate with shame as a guiding, principle or underlying, mechanic in me anymore. Which came. So if you stood on the corner there and read out a poem, you'll be more bulletproof the next time you try and do it. It's like salespeople just going to knocking on doors. Eventually, you just become bulletproof. You ever meet a good salesperson? And you're just like, oh my God, they are just bulletproof. They like I could roar them out of this place and they wouldn't care because it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. So basically busking was the kind, and then I came back to Dublin and bus, and then I started doing open mics, and so when it looked like I emerged like into my friends when I came home, like all that had come before it, I guess. So I guess it was a slow emergence.
Slow emergence.
Yeah.
No, but there was a lot of you put a lot of time into it,
Oh,
and
yes.
I mean, like the next question I have is how do you know you're pretty much ready to showcase your talent? But realistically, you weren't.
No.
You were like, well, here's something that I do want to do, but like I said, I'm terrified.
Yes.
You're splashing water in your face. When you're sitting on that park bench, you stop playing when people
Yeah,
walk
yeah,
by.
yeah.
But you did overcome it, and thankfully you did, because like you have released your album, The Creation of Basil, which is an amazing collection of work, and true to your bio, they are indeed potent songs of love, heartbreak, and optimism. It's such a good piece, really, really good piece. So you overcame a lot just to get to that stage, and put you put in the hours to the point where you're comfortable to be able to do it. The artist journey is proudly in support of the Safe Gigs Ireland initiative. Safe Gigs Ireland is all about safety at live events. That means we want to keep them free from any kind of abuse, be it racial or sexual, and we advocate for anti-spiking as well. For more information, like tips on staying safe at live events, please visit safegigs.ie. Then, what does the creative process look like when you're writing your own music?
In a way, I've kind of figured out like an optimal way of coming up with ideas now. So once I realized basically the fundamentals of a song. So what we talked about already, like the BPM. So imagine that's one variable. Most songs, there's going to be a sequence of either 3 or 4 chords, right? So let's just say we only have 4 chords. BPM, 4 chords, like that just like repeats, and then a melody. So the bit where I come in, imagine I could randomly generate on these variables, and then I could come up with a melody. What the hell was that?
There's an ice machine going off.
Oh, the ice machine. Yeah. We're gonna get drinks soon.
We are in the functioning cafe.
Oh yeah. Sponsored by. No, but so imagine if I have only them variables, then the bit I enjoy is coming up with the melody. So I'll come in, and this is if I don't have any ideas, if I was on a desert island, right, and all I had was a chord generator and a metronome. This is how I come up with a song. I just start trying to feel around and be like, ba, 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 ba. Here's the ice machine, and it's wrecking my head. No, and then I'd be like, don't like that, and I keep hitting that button, randomizing until I start gelling with it in a way that makes me feel good. And all that matters is that I know what it's like when I feel good about something. That's the bit you need to learn. The bit you need to figure out is what you actually like, and then you need to be like ruthlessly honest to your taste. You have a taste, right? You have a taste for these questions. If you had another set of questions, you might, I don't like that one, I like this one, I don't like that one. As long as you're honest to your taste, then you're gonna end up somewhere that you'll be happy with, I think, especially over time. So if you can learn, I know that feeling of, I love this melody, and so I get real excited about it. So when I capture it and then I just record that note, then I come back to it and I'll just be like random, like gibberish. Don't worry about words, because it's actually the melody is so important. Do you ever listen to like Numa numa yay, numa 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 yay. Who cares what they're saying? Or like Despacito, blah 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 blah. The melody's so good that it doesn't matter what they're saying. So if you set yourself up like that, right, and your chords are being randomized, but let's say they're from a collection of, you know, ones that aren't going to sound too painful when you hear them. Like most songs, like we're all borrowing from the same language, and no one's doing anything revolutionary with the chords. It's the melody where I feel most energized about, and I feel happiest about. When I get a good melody, it doesn't matter if I don't have the words, and then I'll just fill in the words, like because I'll be like he da da ba da ha da da he, and then it'll be he. Maybe that means me or B or C. And then maybe I'll be like, okay, the sentence has to end with the word that it rhymes with C. So if that word has to rhyme with that, and the other bit has to rhyme with that sentence, then I know that I've actually, in the infinite amount of words that I could pick, I've now narrowed it down to only a few. So now I can start kind of cycling through things in my head, and I can just feel what feels right. You know what I mean? I can just say, I'll just write a sentence. And I can always change that sentence, but the sentence has to end with something that rhymes with C, in a way. Let's just say that's the case.
Yeah.
And so it's like a crossword puzzle then. So then once you get to that, you fill out the chorus, and then once you have the chorus, then the next bit is probably harder, because I know, let's say, I have a sense of how the verse will go subconsciously, that I'll just start going with a verse, I'd lead up to that. But I won't get it right all the time. I'll have to really iterate on melody up until I hit gold, in a way. Like I have loads of audio messages that are just me roaring like, but then once I have the structure, and it depends on the type of structure, like verse, chorus, let's say verse, bridge, and maybe that's it. Then after I write the chorus, and the best way to do it is if I had 10 of them before I started finishing a song, because I might, out of them 10, I might have a favorite. And this is if I was on that desert island, by the way. And then I'd write out the whole song, and I'd write out the melodies first. So melody first, and then you get off the desert island because you wrote a song, and that's all you had to do to get off it, it turned out.
Okay, cool. It's a fascinating approach, really, and it's not really something I would have considered. Now, I'm not a songwriter myself, but you have this kind of technical way of producing your music. And what you're saying there about how you constructed it by melody, chords, verse, chord, BPM, does that then translate going across the whole album?
Well, the most fundamental unit is the song, let's say. So the album is kind of, it's harder to write probably an album in the context of, maybe like a concept album like Dark Side of the Moon, where it all blends into each other. Whereas, the creation of Basil is more like a collection of songs that just like brought together, that felt like they made sense together. And maybe they aligned because they came from me. But there wasn't like a plan for that to be an album when I first started writing them. So one thing I'll just say is that just focus on the song. Don't worry about the album. And then don't worry about, I know some guy, shout out to David, but he's trying to write an album release an album like I don't know how long, but he wants to release 18 songs at once, and I'm just like, just do one. You're putting up so much in front of you that you're not. It's like trying to eat the elephant in a way, instead of just a little cocktail sausage. Like it's just like people make it so difficult for themselves, and with this stuff you can systematize things, and you can do it so like people think you have to wait for inspiration to hit, but I know that if I could write a song now, it mightn't be the best song in the world, but there's a confidence that I could do it, and there's a way of doing it. And I think I've thought about all this a lot, and after writing music for so many songs, you kind of see patterns in a way. And then when you're playing other people's songs, you're just like, well, they're just simple chords. Most songs are just simple chords. Like the chords isn't the bit, the melody is the bit. Like no one really cares that like Zombie is just the same 4 chords for the whole song, but everyone's just like Zombie. No one cares about the chords. Like anyway, but the point is that you can systematize processes, and then when you have the basic system there, then like you can play around that. And maybe you'll have a different system than me in a way. But you have to, if you're always thinking about your process and if you pay attention to your own life, like everything, you know what I mean? You're paying attention to this podcast, you'll be like, I don't like that question, didn't like this guest, he was talking too much or whatever. Like you'll figure things out, but you have to pay attention to your life.
I'm surprised actually that that's the process of your own writing, really. That it is kind of it's more of a compilation of your work rather than a whole thematic piece. But it's an interesting way of going about it. And like you're saying with your friend, shout out to Dave.
Yes, Dave.
Main man Dave. It's get something out there, you know. And you did have a lot of those songs out already, which
yes,
they're so good. And it was something that I was doing a lot of research on when I was working with you, because we have worked before on. I did a headline show with yourself, and I don't think I had you on any of the showcase ones, but I definitely had you on for one of the headlines.
Yes.
And you've done
my
other
first headline gig,
your
actually.
first headline gig, and you have done other amazing ones with Smithfield Creatives, Circle Sessions, Dublin Finest.
Yes.
And you always bring so much energy. You always bring so much energy wherever you go, clearly, and particularly with your stage work and when you're busking as well. I've seen some clips of that too. But with all that energy, do you have any pre-show rituals to get you into that state, or is it just here I am, here we go?
So the best ritual is just practice a lot before you do anything. Especially like for that headline gig, I practiced, like I did that set basically every day for that whole month up until that. So I wasn't leaving anything to chance. I knew that so inside out. So when I got up there, like it wasn't anything to me. And then once you do that enough times, then you just need to show yourself that you can do certain things. But preparation. It's not about sort of pre-game rituals. It's like Mayweather. Before the fight, he's just watching TV and chilling. It's like if he's not good enough to, like right before the fight, then he's already made a massive mistake. You know, you're ready by that point. It's just about trying to keep a clear head, making sure you're not, I don't know, you don't want to be going up drunk if you do drink, let's say. But you're probably going to be nervous. If you're doing something that's worthwhile, you'll be nervous. But if you do it enough times, you won't be nervous. So doing little versions of that. So busking, even before that gig, on the day, if I'm doing a show on a day, I'll go to the streets and I'll just play on the streets just as a warm-up, basically.
Cool. Interesting.
And maybe I overdo it sometimes. I think I overdid it for that gig. But
overdid the busking?
I just overdid. Yeah, I overdid it. My prep. I didn't need to be doing it that much. Sometimes you will overdo it. But yeah, preparation is the best ritual, and that happens a long time before you even get going. But I remember even the first time I did an open mic in Dublin, I was so nervous, and I sang a song, "Wish You Well," and I felt like it just didn't go well. Wish you well didn't go well, and then I didn't sing it for so long because of that. And then I started singing again. I was like, no, it's a good song. I like it. I'm bringing it back. It just didn't. I felt like, I just started getting so down on myself. If you have a bad gig or a bad moment in front of lots of people, it doesn't matter what people say to you. They'll say, oh, you did grand, like you did this. But it's like, I know. I don't care what you say, and I appreciate it, but I am the final like arbiter of like whether I feel I did good or not. And I'm really like on that gig, I was just like patting myself on the back. The freestyle at the end like was so good. It was it was so good, and I was so able to give myself a hug and a pat on the back. But at the same time, if I don't feel that way, then that helps me then prepare for the next one. I've more sort of like juice and tank, as in I want it the next time I sit up on stage, I'm gonna have everything nailed, I'm gonna relax. And you pick up so much. Like Student, his hand when he's playing guitar is so loose. And by seeing him and his hand when I was out, I realized my hand's so stiff. I'm so stiff. So I'd be in my car and I'd just be like this. And I'd be walking down the street like this. And I just don't care because I know I need to just loosen that. That's such a big thing. If I just get it loose, anyway, so I don't know where we're going. I don't know. Shout out to Shooting, like absolute machine. RC Polo as well.
No, that they're great lad and a great bunch. To be fair to them, definitely the pleasure working with them. They're fucking so sound, so sound. But then that show, the show that we did do together, the Gig Simulator. Um, well, for one thing, you took control of what you could in terms of your preparation. It was, I'm going up there to do the set. I'm going to make sure I know this set.
Yes.
Anything else that happens outside of that, you've no control over.
Yes.
And like as you said, it was your first headline show, and it was a great demonstration, right, of what a powerful and creative performer you were, because you weren't just going up there and busting it out like you did with such assurance of what you can do and passion in what you can do. But the bit that we did at the end, the live loop machine, that level of creativity was so good. And it also got quite emotional at times. So can you talk me through how you were feeling throughout the show that night, and as it was your first headline show?
Yeah, it was hard because like so many people that loved me were there. Like so many close friends. So many of my best friends were
and
there.
You could feel that in the room too.
Yeah, it was like the most, imagine like some of the greatest people in your life just there to watch you and support you. And my sister was there, and I know this is the first time some people are seeing me out like this, and my sister was singing the end of like my song Regret. And it was so emotional because she was just singing it to me, and I could hear, and with such power, and it's just so beautiful. And so it's just hard to, just these moments of just pure like bliss that, like I can't even describe. Like no amount of money could give me that. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't. The only thing that I could do is do my whole journey up to that point to have my sister there singing this song, and God, it was so good. And then, everything with that whole thing was just, it's just so surreal because it's very difficult to put your name. I was always afraid up until that point of like just putting yourself out there and doing a gig. You know what I mean? And that's why it was great to work with you, because you took the brunt of it. As in, it's behind you, so it's not me if it goes wrong. You know what I mean? Which is great. That's why it's like institutions like Raise the Bar are good, because the Gig Simulator, it was a simulation for me doing a gig, and even though it was an actual gig, but it helped me then when I did my own gig. It showed me I can do this now. I'm gonna fucking do this. I'm gonna do my own gig, and I didn't feel as like when I did my own gig, it didn't feel as good as that other gig. And there's some reasons why, and I think one of them was because I played with backing tracks for the album, and I couldn't even hear my own guitar, and I just didn't feel good about it. Whereas in that place, I could hear the best performances that I think I've had is when I can hear myself sing, and because then my brain will react and adjust the instrument of my voice. Okay. And when I listen back, I'm like, that was a good performance. When I hear myself in clips, let's say that I'm not happy with, I know I just couldn't hear my voice because I'm saying stuff now. If all I can hear is the echoes back to my ears, by the time it gets to my ears, the pitch isn't what left my mouth. It's kind of amalgamated into something weird. But my brain then adjusts the instrument based on that reverberation. So what you want is monitors in front of you, and then as direct, like from there to your ears. That will give you, because your brain is making adjustments to your voice that it thinks it needs to do. So being able to hear yourself is a big one. But yeah, no, it's an emotional time, lad.
Emotional time. It was really such a cool thing to be a part of. Like that was definitely for me one of the standout gigs that I'd organised, because there really was just so much passion and so much love and just a great energy in that room, and like everybody walked away absolutely buzzing and so happy. Everyone was delighted for you. Everyone was delighted to be part of the experience as well, and you made it an experience. That was the other thing too. You were so engaged and so engaging, and like we said with the live loop machine, people were involved. Yeah, people were then a part of your set. Like so again,
and you're putting it on the line. Like you know, I despise the energy of people. I feed off that, and basically I hook into that. And I'm just like, like the more attention I have, it's like the more energized I am. It depends, obviously, if it's going well or not. But in that moment, I just had to give myself to the claps and just like that's why you have to get into it. You have to let go. You can't filter. If you're starting to think about things or filter things, you're in the wrong place, or you're gonna make a mistake. It's like if you're playing or anything. If you start thinking about it or driving, if you really start thinking about driving, you'll be like, "What am I doing?" You know what I mean? It needs to be auto, and you need to like unfilter it in a way. But yeah.
Yeah. No, and again, thank you for allowing me to be part of that experience, because I did thoroughly enjoy it, and it came about because I was on your podcast, the Basil Breen Show, which you were the creator and host of. And on that show, you speak with other artists, poets, entrepreneurs, and creatives. So, first of all, how did that start?
So the podcast was always in my head. I had some really good friends, my brother and two other guys that I was like, we need to do a podcast. I just want to sit, like we're always having these great conversations. I want to sit down and record it and start putting it out into the world, because I love podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. When I moved to London, like before then, I didn't really know about podcasts, and then my good friend Chuck got me into them. I credit him for that, and then it's just it's like, again, you're listening to music and then you start playing it. You're listening to podcasts, and now I feel I want to start contributing back in a way, and that was the main impetus. It's just I just wanted to get my ideas out into the world. You know what I mean? Like that was basically fundamentally where it came from. I felt that I had something to say now, and I wanted to put it out there. And even now, I'm here now because I feel like I'm here to put something out into the world while I'm here. That's the thing. While we're here, if you want to, like, you're not going to have any impact on the world. And the world can be as big or small as you want it to be if you're just sitting there on the sidelines, not getting involved. Think of all the great people that you know, right, that you've heard, and the ideas that you've heard. And all my ideas, they're not really my ideas. They're like the Western culture's ideas, or stuff that I've heard and I twisted into my brain. So you're more like a, what's that? You're doing the sport where you're passing the baton. You're just a baton for the ideas. So let yourself be the baton. Like you do it in everyday conversation with people. If a good friend asks you for advice, you give them advice. And so, in a way, now that we have social media and recorded technology, we can sort of do that at scale. And that doesn't mean millions. It just means more than just a person in this room right now. And that's so fucking cool.
Yeah. And then how many episodes of the Basil Breen Boombox have you done now?
56, and
56.
I recorded 57. So we have 57.
Okay. So probably by the time this comes out, realistically,
Potentially,
57,
yeah.
recorded 58.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of experience in that, and it's not just been yourself in front of the camera. You've also had a lot of great guests on it as well. I'm not going to start naming names because I don't leave anybody out.
Of course.
But that is a huge amount of experience. So what advice would you give to somebody else starting off a podcast?
The best advice is to just get as many under your belt as possible. Figure out the landscape. Figure out your pain points. Like if it's your language, you'll become very aware. If it's your persona, like on camera, maybe you feel like you're not as comfortable as you should be. Like you look at yourself, you listen to yourself, and you're just like, that's not me. Also, give yourself a break as well. Yeah. Because it's very easy to just think, oh, I didn't have a really clean sentence there, or a collection of sentences. But in conversation, it's never like that. Yeah. It's never a perfect, clean A to B in a way. So like normal conversation isn't a book. It's not a novel. So give yourself a bit of a break, but also use it as an opportunity to improve your speech, because your speech is how you interact with the world and interact with people. And the better we can be at speech, like the better we can probably help the world in a way. Because if I want to help people as much as like I possibly can, how I formulate what I say to people is very important. Like if I just say, if you just record yourself a few times, that'll be grand. Instead of all that shite I just said, what's going to be better for the world, and what's going to be better for that question that you just gave me? So And then also just try and relax. That's a big thing. Like just, I know like I used to have the big sheet, and I had side questions, I had the main questions. For my style, like you're like more, it's more direct, more down. There's more of a purpose. I'm just like, sure, we'll just talk about whatever. And sometimes, like I know there's stuff that like the last podcast I did was with a good friend who's doing he's opening a jiu-jitsu studio, so there was a plan. But I have learned more to trust. I've just, it's the same with everything. I just know that I can do it now, and so I don't worry about it. I can just turn on the fucking camera and I can do it, and that's it now. I don't worry about it too much. If I didn't get enough prep, I didn't get enough sleep, I didn't do that, I know that I can talk now because I've seen myself do it. So you have to earn your own confidence and your own respect in a way. And then just be nice to yourself as well. Just in general, as a point, have your own back.
Yeah.
Be like your biggest critic, but also your biggest fan. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? And then them two kind of, one time, like every now and again, you're gonna have to be hard on yourself because you messed up.
Yeah.
Like this podcast, like we're supposed to do this a few weeks ago, and I completely forgot about it. And like it felt so bad because I was on my couch when I realized that I was supposed to be in this room, and it was terrible, and I felt really bad about it. But now hopefully that pain will stay with me. So that's where the critic will come in. You know what I mean? And then when I listen back to this, I'm like, that didn't go too bad. Maybe I talked a bit too much here and there. Like hopefully we're getting through the timeline of stuff in a timely manner.
No, absolutely. And like, what I love about you is it's not waffle. There's a lot of great things that you're saying here, and that is some really, really invaluable advice. And I've asked that if there's people out there starting a podcast, what they think, but it's for me as well.
Yes, of course.
Like, we've recorded the 4th episode now. This is the 4th one. So like these are a lot of things that I'll be taking going forward too, and probably the biggest one will actually just be be kinder to yourself. And also watching my language too, because I'll say. Well, even actually, I don't particularly like trying to curse in the show, so I try and avoid it.
Yes.
But sometimes the passion will come out of me.
Same.
And I end up saying something. But also little things like, and so, and this, and how, and nah, and nah. So there's an element of critique there.
Yes.
But it's also a huge learning curve. And it will and has already improved my diction and my confidence too.
Yes.
So it's... that absolutely really, really solid advice. So thank you so much for that, because you do have a lot of experience in the field.
Yeah, I actually do.
Yeah, actually do. You've done more podcasts than anybody else.
Yeah.
Probably more than
Personally,
anybody
maybe,
else.
yeah.
I'd just like to take a brief moment to thank Pausa Caffe for helping support the creation of the artist journey. Without their support, we wouldn't have a location to film in, so please show them some love by heading to their Instagram page. And for the best coffee and lunch served by the friendliest staff, you can visit their locations on Townsend Street in Dublin 2 and Berkeley Road, Dublin 1, where this show is filmed. Thanks, Pausa. Back to the show. In September 23, you put up an Instagram post which gave an insight into your journey as an artist and also the development of your album, Creation of Basil. In that post, you talk about your father, who you spoke about a lot today, who has unfortunately passed away. You spoke about the pride he would have felt seeing you explore music and the deep sadness you felt of him never getting to see that himself. You also talk about how, despite the difficulty you face with this, you're going to keep going. And it's encompassed beautifully by the line in that post. In the face of all the pain that came before, I was going to live a life that was all worth it. I think that resonates with a lot of people, but will have different meanings depending on the individual's experience. In the face of all the pain that came before me, I was going to live a life that was all worth it. What does that mean to you?
So I think it's like, it's the most powerful frame I could come up with for my life, basically. So imagine before I was born, imagine 200 years ago, 400 years ago, the entire, gene pool up until I was born. Who knows what was going on? Who knows the countless suffering of my ancestors? The fact that we're just sitting here with water now and electricity and ice machines we've no idea of the like how lucky we are and the level of comfort, and we'll never understand that. We'll never understand what it's like to be in the 1800s, like eating gruel and watching your babies die and all this terrible stuff. And so you could let that really get you down because you could just say, "Oh well, I'm like I don't deserve this" or whatever. But I think what that line kind of ties into is the only way I can kind of, not like be comfortable with the idea of me living while others have died. So, what would my dad say to me, right? He's dead. If he was looking down now and he see me being so upset and just being like, oh no, like he's dead, I'm alive, like everyone has just suffered like until like I was here, like woe is me. I think they've died, right? So they know that this comes to an end. They actually know that this will eventually end. And so the only thing I can think that they'd say is that it's just like you have to get on with it. Because the fact that it ends, it just means that you might as well play the game. You might as well, and they'd want that for you because it's hard, very hard to encapsulate this because I just know that if I was dead and I was looking down, I was like, you might as well get on with it. You're going to be like me, dead. Like, so what's the fucking point in wallowing and everything? Because you could wallow until you die as well. Or you can try get on with it. And then you'll never make it worth it. Like, what does worth it even mean? But imagine you could. Imagine somehow your life, this is the weight you take on. This is why it's so epic. Like, fucking 14 billion years of the universe, right? Evolving until you are here. And you, with your 80 years or so, now have to make all that worth it. All the ups and downs of 14 billion years. What would your life look like? How could you live in such a way that it would make it worth it? And even if you never reach for it, that's the ideal. Like, you have to put something in the highest place. Like, we all have something in the highest place. Like, let's say with this podcast, we're putting the idea that podcasts are a worthwhile pursuit, let's say, for whatever reasons. But we're deciding to put that here and go after it. So, but if you put something in the highest place, what do you hold high above everything else? And what could you put up there that would give you the best life possible? And so imagine you could live a life where your soul and your heart was aligned with every step that you took. Like, maybe in this moment, right, I don't like how you handed me this cup and I'm really annoyed by it, but I'm not being true and honest to it, but I'm just putting up with it. That's not taking the step that was the most truest to my heart and soul. And we do that. We make sacrifices and concessions, and sometimes we have to. And sometimes it's the right thing to do because, there's no point in me getting pissed off about this now because, I want a nice experience for everyone else. So sometimes it's for the greater good. But there's so many situations where, we're sitting on the sidelines. We're not picking up the guitar because I'm too old to do this, or I'm too whatever to do whatever. I'm too shy. We're just putting up all these like barriers. It's so sad that we just prevent our own selves from like allowing any sort of movement towards something that we know that we'd want to do, but we're saying, I don't know why. It's just a protection mechanism, because if you don't play the game, then you never have to lose the game, in a way. And I think that's like, it's a thing that people need to get over. So basically, that's trying to shoot a frame for your life that would hopefully pull you in the greatest possible direction for your life, basically. Because even if whatever cards we were dealt, let's say, all we can do is play the best that we can with those cards. And it's not about, doing something that is not feasible. Like, as in, I'm not going to be in the NBA, I'm not going to be going to the moon. But what can I do with my life? And even if it's just, doing this one podcast, maybe that was the best. But like, at least I'm striving towards that. And no one can say, whose life is better than another life, because really all you could have done, imagine if you could play a video game, a simulation, like the Luke Newman situation, your max possible life is your max possible life. You know what I mean? It's all you could have done with your life. And that might be something that's mundane in comparison to Donald Trump becoming the president. But you maxed out your fucking life. And it's just like, that's what we can do while we're here. And that's what that frame can possibly do, I think.
I think that's kind of what I took out of it as well. And it is that making the most out of your time here and not wallowing in what happened before. And it's just making the best of it. And it's empowered me to keep moving forward. And that no matter the hurt or the exhaustion I've been through before, or what inevitably lies ahead, I'll stand tall, head held high, and keep moving forward.
Yes.
And in those difficult times that I have experienced, I've actually come back to that post that you put up numerous times.
Wow.
Because it reminds me that there is strength within me and it is possible to keep going forward. So I do thank you for sharing it back then and for going into such amazing detail about it now, because it's great. It's perspective.
And I really appreciate that. And the other thing is, while we're out there pursuing that possible best life, we're also increasing the likelihood of other people having a better perspective or just a better experience of life. Like, how was I supposed to know that posting that video, I did it as a personal thing for me, felt really something that I felt very proud and sad and beautiful and all the things. I wanted to get it out there, but I didn't really think, who knows what impact that might have had on anybody else. You know what I mean? And we can't foresee any of that. But by pursuing what's true and what's sort of meaningful and what we think is meaningful, even if other people mightn't necessarily consider it like, a big soppy beautiful post that I feel is beautiful about my dad or whatever.
I'd agree.
Like, that's, has any value. Some people might, but I did it because I thought it had value. And so if you follow that, the ripples from that will emanate into, I don't know, even in work situations. The last company I was in, I felt like I had such a positive impact in the little moments that I had with people. You know what I mean? Even this now, I'm very thankful that you've put so much effort into this. I'm feeling good about what I'm saying. And so you've given me a positive experience because you decided to pursue a podcast. So it's just so beautiful what we can do in the little ripples. Like, I'm sorry going off on one here, but in a novel, like, you can have, like, in like a James Joyce novel, like, fucking, shout out to Fantasy, but you can have such a mundane, like, character that, like, it's just an everyday man or woman, but their story's so gripping, and it could just be so simple. Like, it could just be some random person off the street just going about their life, but it's a brilliant story, and we're all living that story. It's so unique and interesting, and it can be really beautiful. It doesn't have to be a grandiose thing. You know what I mean? That's like really beautiful stories and beautiful novels. Like, it's not about, and then in the end, he took over the world, and then, like, he had all the money, and like, some stories are just, they might even end sad, or they just might end with the hero or the protagonist just having a little bit more hope, and that's even good enough. You know what I mean? Because you've seen, oh God, they came through so much and they still had a little bit of hope at the end. That's a good life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, you're dead right with the ripples and the honest pursuit Because you put that up not to try and evoke any kind of response. You put it up because that's how you felt, and that's how it, like, maybe you wanted to give a bit of insight into stuff, or maybe you just wanted to show a bit of appreciation for your dad, and that comes
Yes.
across too. And it was genuine. And whether it's that post or whether it's your art or whatever it might be, when it is created authentically and is something that you genuinely enjoy as a producer, then regardless of what anybody else thinks, it's the best piece of art,
Yes.
you know? And it is, like, obviously it is a very heavy subject, and it and like as you said, it's that particular post has helped me get through a lot. It's helped me get through burnout ultimately, and it's constantly a recurrent subject. And I've seen other people as a promoter, be it musicians or whatever it might be, they've risen and fallen before I've even had the opportunity to work with them.
Yeah.
So it's something that I do think about a lot, and I think it's something that a lot of people do experience. Is it something that you've experienced yourself?
Oh my God. So, like, the burnout is so real, and it's on so many fronts, especially in the age of social media. When you start pursuing music, you just start watching all the YouTube videos. Like, you need to post one a day, you need to post, this type, and then you need to have the release schedule. And I did all that for a while, and then I just realized I was just doing it because someone told me to do it. It wasn't because, it was necessarily what I wanted to do. I was just kind of falling into that trap of, oh, I think I should be doing this. And then you just get sick of it. You get sick of making like little marketing videos that just come and go, that you're not really proud of, or that added any value to the world or any value to yourself. So how I've kind of well, I'll come back to that in a sec, but just in relation to burnout, it's more you need to try and be able to do whatever it is over the long term. You know what I mean? So you need to do it in a sustainable way. And especially with social media, like I've had to just kind of disengage, like with even people that I've, you know, like known on the scene or whatever. Even seeing other people doing stuff makes me start thinking, why am I doing this? Like, why am I releasing the songs? Why isn't, Niall or Nah giving me a shout out, like, or whatever it might be? You just start questioning everything you've done, and you're just like, why did I put all this time in? What's the point? But that only becomes that. Then thoughts come from just being exposed to other people doing it. You know what I mean? And if I wasn't exposed to that, I'd probably be content with what I'm doing and what I'm pursuing and where I'm currently at.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to move back to a place where I'm creating my own bubble, my own sort of metrics and standards for myself and what I'm happy with. And you have to create the world for yourself and try not to get involved in other people's ideas of what your world should be. It's like, that's all I can really say. And just take the foot off the pedal. You don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something, I think. If you wanna like whatever your potential might be, you need to be trying to tip away at that in some way. And even if it's only, 15 minutes playing an instrument, or, if you're, a bit of time doing a podcast once a week or once a month or whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be like I was doing the podcast. I remember one week I had like 4 of them, and I was going around Dublin with like stuff, and I felt real busybody, and I'm the guy, I'm doing it now, and like people are seeing me do it, and then but then I just got burnt. I was just like, I can't do that again. And then the podcast, people will burn out because they don't show up, or they keep you on the long finger. They say they're going to show up, and then you had something scheduled, and then now you didn't do the podcast, and now you're like, oh, now I'm going to not have one for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it might be. The unknown will just have an effect on it, and so you have to kind of set up the constraints where you kind of protect yourself in a bit. And for you, whatever that means to you, you have to kind of be self-aware enough to be like, this is hurting me, and I need to stop, a certain behavior, or partaking in a certain behavior. But I think with social media, it just feels like you need to be doing so much. And really, are you in it for the long haul? Are you in it for the next year? Are you in it for the next 5 minutes? Or do you just want to be successful? Do you just want the outcome? Or do you want to be good at the piano? Do you want to be good at singing? Do you want to be good? Do you want to be good? Or do you want to just be well known? You know what I mean? So when I came back to that, then now I'm trying to focus on content where I'm singing. I do loads of takes of me singing a song until I think it sounds good, because then I'm practicing singing, and then I'm practicing the art of listening to myself back singing, and then my ear is understanding on the mic, you know, what I need to do with my voice in order to avoid, like, let's say, plosives. Like, can I prevent that? Is that just always going to happen, or can I sing in such a way that that doesn't happen? And so by iterating on those type of videos, I'm getting my skill is getting better. And people like sometimes are like, oh, that's a really well done on singing, and that's cool because that's an actual skill. It's not well done on, oh, whatever, like I'm doing the little dance and oh, like buy my whatever it is, and you do these kind of I don't know, like the TikTok ones. I get it. I'm not want to begrudge people, because you have to do what you have to do. Like, it's great that we have these tools to be able to, you know, promote ourselves, but I don't know, I find some of it like just so hard to stomach for myself in terms of what people will do. I was talking to a guy about my podcast. Imagine right, did a little dance, right, and I got millions of views from it. I'd still be doing the dance. I'd be dancing every day. I'd be like, this is how people want me to do it. They want me to like me. And I'd just be doing it because I was successful at it. So, like, if you are finding success with something, you have to be careful that now you're just going to keep doing it because of that. And now you're doing it because, is it that you want to do it, or is it just because you're having positive outcomes? And having positive outcomes is okay. I'm not against people having success. If you're having success, do the dance. It's better than working at lots of other jobs. You know what I mean? I'd rather do the little dance than, like, you know, I don't want to actually degrade anybody's pursuit of any work, actually, so I don't know what I could fill in there.
I'll fill in insurance. I've worked in that job.
Oh, there we go.
It's a shit job.
Yeah.
I would rather be doing the dance than doing insurance.
Yeah, there we go.
Sure.
Thanks for filling in there.
But it's I think you're right what you're saying, and I can definitely resonate a lot with that as well, where it's I'm consuming what I'm consuming online, and there might be other people that are working in a similar industry to what I'm doing, and well, why are they doing it better? Or
Yes.
are they doing it better, or are they just consistent? Or what am I
not doing?
What am I not doing? And I think the bigger question then is, well, why am I constantly comparing myself to this thing?
Yes.
Like, they have a completely different way of going about things, different experiences, different blocks, different whatever. So
see, we can rationalize it and say, oh, we should only compare ourselves to who we were yesterday, or all these sort of, you know, truisms. But it's very difficult when you're playing the game, and we're comparison animals. You know what I mean? That's how we figure out where we sit in certain hierarchies, and we gain a lot of value from the idea that we're competent in certain areas. You know what I mean? And it's just like comparison is the thief of joy. It steals the joy, because it's the best thing, not the best thing, but, you know, there's always someone better than you. Like, if you're good at singing or good at piano, there's a 4-year-old that can do that. Or there's a 4-year-old that has a bigger podcast than this. You know what I mean? And what are you supposed to do with that? You know, but it's just that we've opened up the sort of comparison pool to the world, whereas before you could be the one person in your community that was doing a podcast or good at catching the fish. But now you're comparing yourself against this other lad who can just catch loads of fish. Like, you know what I mean? You're just nothing now. What are you? Like, and if you derive your value from that, it's so tricky. The whole thing is we're just human at the end of the day, and this world kind of amplifies certain characteristics of that, like social media in a way.
What can we, or what have you done personally to overcome burnout?
I've just been kinder to myself when I'm tired. That's a big thing. And not thinking, oh, I need to do something now. Now I'm like, I'm tired. It's time for the Netflix. It's time for this now. And I know I can't do any more. I can't do anything. And being okay with that, and not being so hard on myself. It's like, you can't do anything. Why can't you do something like clearly there's people out there that would do something in this situation, and you're just sitting there. I used to be so, I kind of ruined a lot of relationships for me, where I ended up blaming the other person for taking my time that I couldn't put somewhere else. It's very toxic, this idea that you need to be optimizing every second of every day. And so just realizing that that's not, like, what's the point? What are you optimizing for? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're going to get to the end of your life and you finish your to-do list, like, or whatever. You're never going to finish a to-do list. You're never going to make the most out of every moment. Like, what are you living for? And it's just, it's difficult though, because you need to burn out to find out where your limits are. So it's good, especially when you're younger, to find out where the edges are, and then you can kind of move back from that. And I think just for me, to avoid comparison, it's just with social media. It's just like I just mute everyone. Like, that's not, like, I'm sorry, like, but it's the only way I could deal with it. Like, I just if I see stuff where people are releasing stuff and everything, and I just don't need, like, even I don't follow anyone that I actually, like, let's say I'm interested, even Fontaine CC, I don't actually follow them on Instagram, even though I love their music and I'm obsessed with that album that I just released. And I went to that gig on my own, but I don't care what they're doing on their stories or their social media in a way. And that's not where I consume more people that I respect. I consume from podcasts, let's say. Like, I'm more checking my podcast feed, and the Instagram feed is like, I'm just looking at, like, people releasing music and stuff that maybe I'm not that interested in, and also it's putting the mirror back in my face in a way. And for me, it's just like, we all have to do what we have to do, and I'm just not capable of just being in that social media world and always comparing, because you'll always see someone that will make you think, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You need to be doing more, or why aren't you doing this? And I don't need to subject myself to it. Like, it's not mandatory. You know what I mean? I am in control. Like, we have these phones, but we're just letting ourselves sort of be dictated by, like, the emotional landscape that it's sort of imposing on us. And when I just became more aware of that, it's just like, yeah, I can still post stuff, but I don't want to be seeing anything, and I don't care. I'm just saying it as it is. I hope the best for everyone. I hope everyone achieves what they want to achieve, but I don't need to see it, like. But, like, and that's okay. There's lots of other people that will be able to support them on their feeds or whatever way they need to be supported, and they'll be true fans. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like, not everyone is gonna, just because, let's say, you're my friend, right? That doesn't mean you have to like my music or you're going to like my music. Like, I've certain friends, I know that they don't like my music, and I don't care that they don't like my music. There's lots of music I don't like. Like, I could listen to a full album. There's one song I like. The rest of it, I'm just like, I don't like it, and that's okay. I don't have to feel bad about that, and people shouldn't feel bad. And I don't think they do. I don't think people care if you're not interacting with their stuff, whatever. I think that's an illusion.
Yeah.
Like, as in, I feel bad that I'm not interacting with their stuff. And if I do start interacting with them, then I feel bad that I'm not interacting with everything they do. And they'll notice that when I don't interact with that one thing. And so it's just a terrible place. So I'm using social media in a very selfish way, where I'm just posting it for me and my own gain, to try and build an audience, and so that I can do gigs in the future where people come and I have a great time, because I'm like, look at me, I'm doing the singing thing. Isn't this great?
And that's where the real experience is.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. Just trying to use social media in a purely selfish way. Like, if you've noticed that it's not serving you to compare yourself with people.
No.
And when you meet people and they tell you what they're doing, it's a much different than seeing a video on your own. You know what I mean? If you're telling me you're having this success, you're like, yes, this is so cool. What are you doing? Like, how are you getting on? It just putting it on the phone. It's just a different thing, because you're on your own, and then you start going in on yourself. I found, especially when you start burning out, and then you're not doing enough, whatever that is, and then everyone else is still doing stuff, and you're just like, oh no, like, what's the point in anything? I just need to give up. What if I just stop doing anything? So anyway, that's enough on that.
No, and luckily you haven't stopped doing what you're doing, because I find you bring a lot of joy and you bring a lot of entertainment with, like, you do have some kind of skit kind of type videos as well. Like, you're
Yes.
entertaining to watch and you're fun to be around and you're fun to interact with. And yes, of course, we're saying, you know, spend less time with these voices. You spend less time with these voices. You don't interact in the same ways other people may, because ultimately what you're trying to do is promote your work, and that's absolutely fine and totally reasonable, and ultimately probably the healthiest way of approaching it. But you, like I said, you do have a lot of entertaining, a lot of entertaining content out there.
Yes.
And one of the things I do enjoy is your busking.
Mm.
And I've actually never seen you busk live, but I have seen you busk
Yes.
on your socials, and it's something that I find as a medium for getting, not necessarily getting music out there, but as a medium of performance is something I do find fascinating. So I'm curious in your thoughts about it. What is it that you enjoy about busking as a form of performance?
Oh, busking, I think busking's like the best thing that any sort of musician or performer can do, because it allows you to like quickly iterate on your performance over time. Like there was times where I could sit there for 3 hours and sing and interact. And as I'm doing that, that's like 3 hours of performance time, let's say. Whereas if you're doing the open mics, you might get on, you do 10 minutes like once a week. It allows you to take your sort of practice into your own hand, and it gives you a sense of like, if you let yourself get into it, like let yourself, especially children are the coolest, right? Because they're just so, what is this big hairy man doing over here? And then the parents can get into it. And so you realize, like, not that I have kids, I do want kids one day, that, you know, kids are like a lens that like adults can look through and be childish. Like, you want to see how parents light up when they see their kid doing the thing. They're just like, oh, woo, 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 like they're doing it, that's them, but I'm getting in on it anyway. And then if you give them a little shout out or something, then everyone can get in on it. And it's just I love, like, what a few years back, actually, just because you said that I bring joy, and I appreciate that. Like that, when I got real into sort of like affirmations and like, you know, trying to reset my brain. And one thing that I came out with is like, I bring joy. I bring joy. Because wouldn't that be great if I could bring joy? And I've been trying to live up to that. I want to bring joy. It's the great, like, what the opposite of joy is. Like, no one wants the opposite of joy. And that's how a lot of things I do in my brain, where if you just play out the opposite, like imagine the worst possible world in the worst possible circumstances, where it's just a universe filled with suffering for no, like, there's no moral of the story. It's just suffering for eternity, right? Imagine that's the worst case. Then any movement away from there is better than that. So if you think about, you know, even in this situation, if you move away from that bad place, because we're always either moving closer or like further away to that place, then you can start thinking like of the little ways you can move away from that. And one way, especially with busking, is to elevate the moment. You can bring the moments to, like, what would it be like if this moment was the greatest it could be? In the same way I was talking earlier about what would your life look like, each moment has a potential, maybe. You know what I mean? And so the busking, you can live a lifetime busking, honestly, in an hour, because you see so many people coming by. And if you just, I don't know, I just got good at, you know, coming up with little jingles. You know what I mean? And I'd love to get, like, my real end goal would be to do, like, do you ever see Mark Riboulet? He does live looping, but streaming. I'd love to stream and live loop improv. That's my ideal.
Okay.
That's my best life. And so I just like that aspect of busking. But with busking, it's more like you have to. It just allows you to find yourself, and because you're out there in the open, and it's like, it can be so embarrassing. Oh my God! I mean, do you know what Ali Sherlock, right?
Yeah.
one of the greatest singers on Grafton Street, right? I remember when I was busking years ago, and she was waiting to come on, right? And I had to treat the camera. What I like is that the cameras, like that kind of content's really good because it's in the moment, spontaneous. Editing is so annoying. That's why I got rid of it because it just created so much work. I love if AI could do it, but as she was waiting, I was singing a song and I could see her reaction to me singing. And like she was just wincing, like because obviously I wasn't that great, and her ears obviously like she could hear like the little intricacies in pitch. So for her it was just looking at, and she's only 16 or something, and I'm like in my late like 20s maybe at this point, in early 30s. And I remember I just felt so embarrassed, but. And then what people can say to you, I was told one time I was the worst busker that you've seen in 40 years, this lad. It was the greatest line I've ever heard. Because, like, he probably had the credentials. Like, he was probably working a stall for the last 40 years. He kind of was like, in the last 40 years, I've never seen someone as bad as you. And, like, so it builds you just build up a really thick skin in a way. As long as you go back out there. You have to go back out there. And then just realize that it's okay. You didn't die. You know, you embarrass yourself, and it's okay to embarrass yourself. And then your tolerance for embarrassment gets so high that you're only embarrassed when you mess up a podcast date or something. But you don't really get embarrassed of like, oh, there's spaghetti on my t-shirt. I wouldn't care actually that much. I'd still do the podcast probably. And I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't let that get in my head. You know what I mean? So it's all about the bus can just become bulletproof and just live. It's such an experience. It's really like shaped so much of my personality and my view on the world, I think, in a way. Because you're dealing with so many variations of people, especially on like Henry Street. I like Henry Street better than any street because there's actually a bit of character there. You know what I mean? People will have a bit of a laugh.
Interesting, yeah.
And Grafton Street, it feels a bit more like people will, they'll interact, but not in the way they'll interact on Henry Street. And lots of wonderful, like some horror stories, but like just lots of wonderful heartfelt moments with like homeless people who are just kind. Like some homeless I remember gave me like 20 cents. He had nothing. This lad had nothing, and he was giving me money because he was we had a moment. We just had a moment, and you see humanity in that really sort of direct way, and then it teaches you to just treat everyone the same if you can. It'd be hard now if Barack Obama came in here. I'm not going to say that I'd be the same person. I'd obviously be a bit starstruck, but I'd like to think that I hoped I would never talk down to someone because I think I'm on some standing and they're on some standing. I think everyone has a bit of, like that novel, everyone has the story, everyone has a life, and everyone has like something interesting. If you're in a conversation and it's boring, it's because of you. You know what I mean? You can actually keep digging. You can keep digging with questions, and then suddenly you strike gold, and then suddenly you're off on one. You know what I mean? And that's waiting for you with everybody, I think. And that's busking wrapped up in some way.
No, it's a really, really fun perspective on it because it's so many of these incredible interactions and moments and devastation with someone saying that it's the worst book they've seen in 40 years, but then so much joy and pleasantness in watching a parent have a little dance with their kid in front of you. It's a whole spectrum of devastating to beautiful moments.
Yes.
And also it's like I said, it's stage time. It's 3 hours or however much amount of time you're gonna put into it.
Even if it's only an hour, it's not always 3 hours. Like.
But like whatever it might be, it's like, I mean, you can pay fucking loads for stage time. I've put up a lot of money for stage time.
Yeah.
And to be able to go out there and take that for yourself, and also like you said, you're bulletproofing yourself.
Yes.
I mean, you went from singing on the bench to stopping when people were walking by to then going, yeah, I'm the worst singer in 40 years that you've seen, but I'm gonna keep going because I'm fucking bulletproof.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a cool way of going about it, and it's a great way of getting experience.
Yes.
And you've had so many experiences. Like like you've done a lot of busking and you've done a lot of stage shows and I mean you record a lot of podcasts and you've done the open mics as well. You've had so many of these amazing experiences and career moments. What would be some highlights in particular that stand out to you?
Well, I think the first major one was when I actually recorded the first song that I ever recorded. Because I remember I was going down this recording rabbit hole and I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. I was working with a producer at the time. Eventually I got audio to send him. I bought this head in the box. It was like $1,000 to like put a mic in a box to isolate sound. I had no idea what like I was even looking for with my ears. Lots of expensive rabbit holes. 6 months. Eventually get it like audio to send to him, and then he's obviously dealing with people like me that aren't really that musically inclined, and so he sends me back something and I'm just like, oh, what's wrong? I thought it was these chords. It's like, oh no, you're singing in a totally different key than what you thought. So I've been playing guitar and I wasn't thinking, my brain just thought it was the chords, let's say, but I didn't have a clue about, I was just, yeah, that sounds good, but it wasn't musically correct. And so then I had to go down a rabbit hole of musical like theory and keys and really trying to get that bit right. It's trying to map out the melody to make sure that's in the key with the chords and get the chords right. And then eventually I remember when he sent it back to me, oh, I was so happy. I couldn't like I drove around for hours listening to that in my car. My old bangy car with my old like crusty Bluetooth speaker, just singing with myself. It was the coolest thing ever. It was just so cool. And it was such a powerful moment for me, like to have, gone down the music rabbit hole and then actually make a song. Like imagine people really like stuff. Oh, I really like, sushi. But then maybe never try to make it. But if you really like, I realize this when I meet music people like my producer Rob and stuff. Some people really like music, like so much that they go all the way with it. And some, like my producer Rob, like he's done so many albums. He's gone his ear, his musical language and everything. But he just really likes music. If you listen to him talk about all the artists and everything, and then he just took that to the extreme. And that's when you come out with a song, that's when you've gone down all the way, basically, as much as you need to go. And so just that has to be what I always come back to. Because I remember posting that and then onto my old Facebook and everything, and because no one that was just out of nowhere. He's making music. Who's this lad? Like I didn't have a name or anything. I might have had a name at that point. But yeah, I guess that was it. That'd be the big one. And then obviously the gig. The gig was probably the first gig was better. Like yeah, because it was my first proper gig with me on the ticket. And I've been building in my head. I've been building up to that. That was like the next milestone. There has been many. The next milestone for me now. Well, I produced my own song. That was the next milestone. But the next milestone will be if I can play a set on the piano. I'm not. It's not that I don't like the guitar, but I just don't feel I can't express myself fully on the guitar in a way. Whereas, and I'm not there on the piano yet, but whenever I can play a full set on the piano, that's my next milestone. That'll be my next big thing. And then that'll be the next. I'll be talking about that now.
The next highlight. I'll get you back for a part 2. We'll talk about your experience.
Piano, could be a while.
Well, that's a really, really nice one. It's having your first song recorded. It is such a great milestone that not every aspiring musician actually gets to. It's because it's a lot. It can be daunting. It can be off-putting. It can be that I've listened back to myself and someone told me it wasn't actually musically correct.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm not going to do it anymore. And instead, you've gone, okay, well, how can I make it musically correct? And here's what you do, whatever. And you got it back, and there you were, blasting it out in your whole car.
Yeah. That whole imagine I tried to just record the audio for about 6 months, just recording a vocal, so, and it was just constant, like batted back. So anyway, yeah.
But it's like there is a great sense of accomplishment in that. There
Yes.
really is, and I can imagine the almost relief of, well, now I have it. Now I
Yes.
have it in my hand. Now I can blast it through my crusty speaker. Now I can enjoy this now.
Yes, it gave me a peace because it felt like now I could if I died now, at least I released a song, and I didn't die before that happened. In a way, like it was such a, it gave me such a peace. I think with my own life, in that, like imagine because I was pursuing this, I was writing all these songs, and imagine I'd never released anything, and it just would have been. That's the saddest version of my life, basically. So that's the opposite. So I'm trying to move away from that.
And you have done, and you have so many more incredible experiences yet to have, and I'm looking forward to your full set on the keys as well. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I do think it would suit you because there is a lot more range that you can get in that. There's a lot more emotions that you can take out of it, and there's a lot more that you can put into it too.
Yes.
And like we said, you have had a lot of amazing experiences, and you've done a lot. And I think your outlook and your reason being of doing it is, there's a lot of correct ways of doing it, but I think it's correct for you, and I think it makes a lot of sense of doing it. And there's a lot of people out there who maybe want to start off on their own artist journey and may want to explore music or being a singer songwriter or even podcaster like we discussed, but specifically for a singer songwriter like yourself, what advice would you give to someone that's just starting off or thinking about doing this?
So if I was just starting off, the guitar is the easiest to pick up. Like if you get a few of the chord shapes, you can basically play all the songs with a capo. I won't get too into that, but it's just like I pick it up, I can play it. So that'll be the instrument I pick. You don't need to plug it into anything, acoustic guitar, and then find a song that you love, that you'd love to be able to play in a way, so that'll pull you through the pain. Like, what would it be like if you could play your favorite song? If you can get something to anchor you to that potential future and pull you towards that potential future, that's what you need to get you through the pain. Don't go into like just doing exercise and stuff. Like the satisfaction of being able to play a song at the end of it, that'll hopefully pull you through. And then if you want to write music, then the song that you learned will have chords and it'll have a structure. Just make up your own melody for that song, and it will come out different. You will come out with something that's different. And even if it's not that different, who cares, right? You're not gonna like no one gonna copyright you maybe or anything. Just try write a song on top of that, because now you've learned that song on guitar already. So now you can play your own song. And so just start with songs that you love, and then trying to write a song on top of that to get you going. Give yourself as much, help as you can, basically.
Cool. That's actually really, really solid advice, because you're right in saying that picking a song that you want to learn will drive you through the incredible frustration of trying to do something new for the first time.
Yes.
Because that is frustrating. It's you're hitting the wrong note, or you're hitting fucking dead notes, and
Yes.
it's like that clang. Like even as myself, like I played a little bit of guitar, I've recently taken up juggling, and all these things
Juggling.
It's great crack. It's actually, I found it amazing for mental health as well.
Wow.
But it's all these things came with that frustration. It came with hitting the wrong notes. It came with the drop balls. It came with the
Yes.
moment. But I knew that there was joy that was going to be at the end of it.
Yes.
So I pushed through it. So that's why I do think it's really solid advice. And then in terms of getting into song composition, like you said, you've learned that piece now. You have the chords down. So being able to write new lyrics, or kind of playing with the melody, or even playing with how you hit those chords,
Yeah.
you've created a new song out of that. So it's...
And don't be afraid to write a bad song. That's like, there's a really good quote. It's like, writer's block is just the fear of writing badly. If you didn't care about writing badly, nothing would ever get in your way, because you just write words the same way I'm saying words right now. So don't be afraid to do a bad song, and then get out of your own way, basically. Like, you're the only person that can get in your way. And if you just can get out of your way, then you'll be fine. And then also, just as another motivator, maybe you want to play a song for somebody. Maybe there's someone you love in your life, and you know their favorite song, and it'd be cool if you could play it for their birthday. That'll help you drive forward, because their birthday's a day on the calendar, and you'll need to, learn it hopefully before then, or you get the next birthday.
Yeah, so giving yourself that kind of deadline, because deadlines do help when it comes to a
Yes.
lot of things. And then, so we've spoken about ways that you can kind of do it for yourself. Are there any resources that you might find helpful?
For guitar specifically, Justin Guitar. It's like the
Justin Guitar.
greatest free resource for guitar. That's basically all you need.
Is it like just in,
Justin, Justin Guitar. He's the greatest teacher. It's all free. Unbelievable resource. And then, I mean, then just try find songs on YouTube that you like, and then easy. You know, like Bob Marley, easy songs. Like Three Little Birds. That's one of the greatest beginner songs. And you'll be the bit that you'll find so shocking is that, like, this is the chorus for this song. That's all it is. That's just what'll happen. And you're like, yes, that's all it is actually. So it's not like this big magical thing. It's just you'll surprise yourself. You'll just think, I can actually do this. That's what you need to show yourself. You need to show yourself that I can do this.
Cool. Very, very solid advice. Very, very solid. I'm actually going to go back and pick up guitar after this, because
Here we go.
you have invigorated me
Yeah.
and broken it down and made it approachable, I think, is the main thing. It's not that complicated. You're overthinking this. So
Yes.
just go and do it.
It's not just a select few musicians on the mountain that get to do it. You get to do it. We all get to do it. We all get to play podcasts. You know what I mean? We don't. It's not just the podcasters on, like, you know, Spotify, the big ones. Like, we get to play.
Yeah.
Play a little bit.
Yeah. Don't be put off.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for your time today, Basil. You're an inspiration, and in my opinion, you're a pillar of the arts community, and I've really enjoyed your insights and getting to know you better today. But I do have one more question for you before we wrap up. What impact do you hope to have on the future generation of artists?
So, if I was to have any impact, it would be to show people what happens if you can just be true to yourself, as in the truest expression of you at any moment. If I can try and be, sometimes I'll lie. If a girl asks me, did I shower yesterday, and maybe I didn't, I might say yeah, and then I'll catch myself out and I'm like, you did lie there, and you're supposed to be honest all the time. So I'm not saying I'm a perfect saint. I'm not a perfect person. Like, I can lie in certain situations, but I like to think I'm honest as I can be. And so if you approach the world in that way, then I just think it's like you're gonna come out with a life and a world that is as aligned with you as possible in a way. And if I can just show people to just let go of that while they're alive, basically. The big thing is, right, like, newsflash, like, we're all gonna die. And if you can really sit with that idea, like, get really stoned, like, do whatever you have to do to really get in touch with that idea and feel the weight of that. And then it's so liberating. It's terribly sad. It's the biggest tragedy. But because of that knowledge, then you've nothing to lose. You know what I mean? You get out there and do and be. Just say what you want to say and be who you want to be. Like, it's that simple. Before it's too late, and while you can. And every minute or every day or every week that goes by that you're not true to yourself, it's just waste. You're just like, it's like you have loads of marbles. You're just throwing one out after the other, and eventually you run out of marbles, and we don't know how many marbles we have left. Do you know what I mean? We're like picking from a bag that we can't see, and then eventually we pick out the last one, and it's too late. I never even tried. I never was true to my heart. I never, I wanted to write. I wanted to do all this stuff. It's too late now. And then that's you. You're dead now. Like, that's the saddest life. So, it's just making the most. Make the most out of this existence, people. Please. That's actually what I want to pass on. Before I pass on.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think not only, I'm sure you have invigorated people to live their best life through this conversation, I think you've given people a lot of the tools they'll need to go about that the best way. So, Basil, thank you very much for today.
Thank you
Absolute
so much.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to give you a little speed that one side is going to do,
then the other side is going to do, and then I'm going to try and come up with something, and whatever happens, it happened tonight, and it'll never happen again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, keep going. You have to keep these hands committed to this now. No fucking around, right? Here we go. All right, next. Ba 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 ba. Hey, 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 hey. That's what I'm talking about. Here we go. Now why you with me? Are you with me tonight? I wanna feel it. Oh man, I feel it tonight. I'm at the battlefield. Put down in the pot. And we going down. Going all night. Going all night. Baby, getting me the creatures. I'm happy. Keep me alright. Keep me alright. In the bathroom. In the afternoon. I don't snooze. Never, never snooze. Never, never lose. With the canopy. I go in and say, oh, you cannot see. Can't believe the Basil Breen. Baby, are you with me? Say, baby, are you with me tonight? Say, baby, are you with me? Say, baby, are you with me tonight? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on the artist journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and follow us to help support the growth of this channel and receive updates on future episodes. If you have any thoughts on what we discussed today, if there's any topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, or if there's a guest you'd just love to hear from, leave it all in the comment section. Bam. Receive updates on future episodes. Cool.
Do you want to do just one more?